Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Nikki here. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to all 337 subscribers. I am beyond grateful for each and every one of you. I just don't make these videos for me, I make them for you as well. So please let me know in the comments what kind of tutorials that you'd love to see next. And if I pick your idea, I'll give you a shout out in that video. I also want to give two special shout outs to Gaming Pop Tart, I hope I said that correctly, for correctly finding the pair of scissors in the Easter egg in last week's video at 7 minutes 45 seconds, and also to Hannah Roberts 2356 for the lovely comment. You have no idea how much that made my week, and I'm so glad that I can help. Now this is the final video of the beginner series. Today we're going to bring in everything together that we've learned in the last couple of weeks, and these are going to be two very easy, very simple, beginner friendly skirts that you can actually wear. Oh, and just for fun, I've hidden an iron Easter egg in this video. Will you be the first one to find it? Write the timestamp in the comments below and I'll give you a shout out in next week's video. So you've been following along and want to finish the series strong, grab your fabric and let's get started. Before we dive in, let's talk about the fabric. For this project, I'll be using two different types of stretch fabric. The first will be a 4-way stretch. That means it stretches both vertically and horizontally, making it super comfortable and flexible to wear. The second option is a 2-way stretch velvet. This is the stretch where it only stretches in one direction, so it's a little less give, but it gives you more structure and an elegant look. Now we're going to go over the tools that you're going to need to finish both of these skirts. You need fabric scissors to cut out the fabric neatly, pattern paper to draft the skirt patterns, paper scissors for cutting out the patterns pieces, a rotary blade for precise fabric. This is optional but can be helpful, pins to help pin everything in place while sewing, pencil for marking the pattern paper, and a pattern master. This will help accurately measurement and curves. You may also need a measuring tape if you haven't done your measurements already. By the way, all these items will be in my affiliate link with Amazon in the description below, so make sure you check these out if you need any of the supplies. Starting with the circle skirt, on the website By Hand London, we can easily customize our circle skirt by selecting a few options. You can choose whether you want to work in centimeters or inches, the type of circle skirt, which is quarter, half and full, and the desired length. Simply enter your waist measurement and the calculator will do the rest. It will provide you with the waist radius, fabric length and the pattern layout, making the cutting process so much easier. One important thing to note, the pattern will need to be cut on the fold to ensure for a smooth, even shape. Pattern. On your pattern paper, you are going to draw and cut out the skirt pattern, starting at a 90-degree corner that you're going to create 1/4 of the full pattern. Make sure to add seam allowance to your pattern. If you're working in inches, then it's typically 5/8. If you're working in centimeters, it's usually 1 centimeter. Next, measure down from the corner using the waist radius measurement you got from the website. Mark this measurement from both edges of the corner. This will help you with a smooth semicircle from the waistline. You can draw this using a circular object, a pattern master or a compass for accuracy. On the length of the skirt, mark it down from the waistline following the same curve. This will give you the hem and shape of the finished skirt. Now in cut, it's time to label it. This step is super important so you can easily reference it later to know exactly what it is. Make sure you include your name or initials so you know that it's yours, what the pattern is for, in this case a circle skirt, the seam allowance, whether it's in inches or centimeters, how many pieces you're going to cut. For this skirt you're going to need 2 pieces, and cutting instructions. Note that both pieces should be cut on the fold of the fabric to create a complete skirt. Taking the time to label your patterns properly will make the sewing process so much easier. Now let's cut out the velvet fabric. You can use fabric scissors or a rotary cutter and a self-healing mat. I'll be using a rotary cutter and a mat for precision. By the way, the rotary cutter is a very sharp tool. Make sure that you use it carefully and use adult supervision when needed. Since this is a 2-way stretch fabric, we will need to cut so the stretch runs vertically around the waist. This ensures a comfortable and flexible fit. Cut, fold and lay the fabric at a 90-degree angle just like you did with the pattern paper. Then using your chosen cutting tool, carefully cut out along the waist hemline and one side of the skirt. Once you open it up, it will create a full half skirt. Now obviously you're going to do this twice unless you want your butt out, but hey, I'm not here to judge. To create the waistband, you're going to need to measure your waist. To take that waist measurement, you're going to divide it by 2. This will give you the length of the half of the waistband, so you're going to be cutting that on the fold as well. Next, decide on the width or height of the waistband. This will determine how thick you want this to be worn. Once you have both measurements, you should end up with a rectangle shape of your pattern. Now don't forget to add seam allowance to the top, bottom and side. While making this, you're going to cut on the fold symbol to one side. Since this is the only piece that represents half the waistband, cutting it on the fold will give you a full piece. The waistband will need to be twice the width that you want the finished waistband to be, since you'll be folding it down to create a clean finished look of the waistband at the skirt. Just like the skirt, you'll need to cut out one waistband piece of your fabric on the fold, but this time you only need to make one piece because then you'll make a whole waistband when it's all laid out together. Start sewing, it is essential that you set up your sewing machine correctly by adjusting your stitch length. For stretch fabrics like velvet, you're going to use a stretch stitch or a zigzag stitch. This allows for the fabric to stretch without breaking any stitches. I recommend testing your stitch out on a scrap piece of the same fabric before you start working on your actual project. This helps to check the look and feel of the stitch. Adjust the tension or the stitch lengths so you get a smooth stitch, so it doesn't pull too tightly or leave the fabric too loose. This ensures that your fabric will stretch comfortably when worn. A stretch or a ballpoint needle and the right sewing foot for stretch fabrics. These tools are specifically designed to prevent snags and make sewing the stretch fabric so much easier. Once you're happy with the results of the sample, then you're all set to start sewing your skirt. Right sides together. This means that the velvet fabric sides are facing each other. This will ensure that the stitches will be on the inside of the skirt once it's finished. And the sides, make sure the edges match up and place into the sewing machine plate. Don't forget to follow the seam allowances that you've added earlier. If you're using stretch stitch, make sure you take your time. A stretch stitch has a forward-backward motion, so use your hands to gently guide the fabric along. As the feed dogs, which are the small feet that are underneath the fabric, help to pull it through. Stretch stitches can be hard to unpick but not impossible, so go slow and steady. Both seams, make sure to check the fit of the skirt and try it on. Make sure that it's comfortable at the waist, not too tight or too loose, and that it's not too challenging to put on and take off. This ensures that the fabric will be easy and comfortable to wear. Take your time and remember to sew carefully to maintain a smooth and even stitching. Once you've sewn both sides, you have a main structure for the skirt. Once you're happy with the fit of the skirts, now it's time to move on to the waistband. First, fold the waistband in half on itself and create a clean edge and sew the seam allowance. This will help finish off the waistband neatly. Next, pin the waistband into the skirt. Double check that it matches the skirt perfectly. Make sure there is enough seam allowance overhang at the waistband. Together, carefully pin the waistband into the skirt, making sure that the seam allowance of both the waistband and the skirt are aligned. Use about 3 pins at the seam point to keep everything in place and to prevent it from shifting while sewing, and then you can do the other pins all around it as well. Make sure that the seam allowance overhang at the waistband is enough. It should be about 1 centimeter. Sew the waistband to the skirt using a stretch or zigzag stitch, all going all the way around the waist to secure it. Make sure to stretch the fabric slightly as you sew, as it sits in smoothly and evenly. Once you've sewn all the way around, make sure that you check the waistband to ensure that the seam is even and smooth. If there's any excess fabric or uneven edges, you can trim those and carefully to make sure it's got a clean finish. You can fold the waistband over at the inside of the skirt, giving it a clean and polished look. Pin it down in place and if needed, sew a final line of stitching along the top edge to secure the waistband neatly. To finish off the skirt, we'll do the hem, which is an optional step but definitely best practice. As we discussed in video 2, since it is stretch fabric, it doesn't actually fray. However, taking the time to finish off the hem will give it a more polished and professional look. Start by folding up the raw edge of the fabric at the bottom of the skirt for your desired hem length. Make sure that the fold is even all the way around the skirt for a neat look. Pin the hem in place and sew it with a stretch or a zigzag stitch, though I would say stretch would be better in this instance, to ensure that the fabric will still stretch while holding the hem in place. Take your time to sew evenly around the entire hem, making sure not to pull the fabric too tightly whilst you sew. This will give your skirt a nice, finished, clean and polished look that will enhance the overall appearance and durability when worn. Now that's it, you've completed your beautiful skirt. Moving on to the straight skirt, it's pretty simple, but I'll still walk you through it. For the straight skirt, you already have the waist measurement, so now you need to take a few more key measurements. Measure the length from the waist down to the hips. This is the distance from your waist down to the fullest part of your hips, and make a note of this measurement. Measurement 2, you're going to measure around the fullest part of your hips. This will help ensure the skirt fits comfortably around your curves. Thirdly, choose the length of your skirt. Decide how long you want your skirt to be, whether it's knee length, midi or maxi. Start by drawing a straight line slightly longer than your desired skirt length, as it's always better to have extra fabric to cut off than not enough to work with. Firstly, you're going to take your waist measurement divided by 4, then square this measurement out at the top of the vertical line to create the waistline. From the waistline, measure down to the hip line, the length of your skirt at the fullest part of your hips. At this point, square out the waist measurement, which is divided by 4. Using this curve of the pattern master, join the waistline and the hip line smoothly. For the hem, extend out the vertical line down to your desired skirt length. Again, go slightly longer just in case. From the hip line down to the hem, draw a straight line down to create a full skirt shape, except for the center front of the skirt where you put the unfold symbol to indicate that this side of the pattern you will cut on the fold of the fabric. Add your seam allowance except to the center front. This is where you will place the unfold symbol to indicate that this side of the pattern is where you're going to cut the fabric on a fold. Label this pattern with your name, initials, what piece it is, and any other necessary seam allowance details. And then since it's a straight skirt, you only cut 2 pieces on the fold to create a full skirt. For the waistband, you can either use the same one as before or adjust the width slightly to suit your style. If you do change the width, you may need to draft a whole new waistband pattern to match. To sew the straight skirt, you're going to follow pretty much the same steps as the circle skirt. Sew both sides of the seams with right sides together and try on and check the fit. Sew the waistband seam allowance and then place the waistband to the skirt right sides together, matching the seams, and sew all the way around. Flip the waistband to the inside and sew it down to finish it off. Again, the hem won't fray, but it will look unfinished. For a cleaner look, fold the hem inwards and sew to complete the project. Well done for me to the end of the video. Make sure you drop a scissor emoji in the comments to let you know that you've made it. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Next week, I've got an exciting DIY/thrift shop tutorial, which links into an upcoming fashion trend. So make sure you tune in for that. YouTube thinks that you're going to love this video. Are they right or are they wrong? Or do you want to watch my last video, which was mastering seams and stitches? I hope I made your day so much better, and I'll see you soon. Bye.